Greetings and salutations, everybody. How we doing?
Doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good. It's always good to hear. Sorry for the delay. Was a little tied up. Got slightly sidetracked. And I must let you all know that unlike usual, today is not a coconut walk. I have found Hoist, and I am sampling their dragon fruit. It's supposedly IV level hydration in a bottle, and it is no coconut water. Surprisingly, there's more calories in this particular bottle, but it is surprisingly flavorful, which is difficult to say about water, even those that have been lightly fruited, as most of the flavored waters are. This one is considerably more than lightly fruited. There,
Sorry about that.
Did a certain critter walk across your keyboard?
No, I think my hand was just holding on 0 accidentally.
Zero period. No.
Yeah, because there's a period right next to the numpad of the 0.
Just because it's called a numpad doesn't mean you put your mouth on it. It's not a numpad.
Didn't. Oh man.
So how was everyone's week?
Today's just been Christmas music over and over and over and over again.
Don't you work?
Christmas music in September? You should.
Yeah, I'm a Christmas caroler.
Don't you work at Santa's Village or something?
No, I work at Spirit Halloween, so I get treated with Halloween music and Christmas music at night.
Nice. Well,
But then again, my idea of Christmas music is Yelling at the Christmas Tree by Billy Idol.
interesting. So I take it that you
Yes, I'm
didn't
part of
see.
a very bizarre family.
So I take it that you didn't see Mommy kissing Santa Claus.
So Santa Claus kissing Santa Claus.
Takes all types. So, by the way, are we all actually here?
I'm here.
I'm here. Not sure about Dax.
Dax will not be making it. Dax is in the middle of a gig right now, and so, or thereabouts, so they will not be present.
Alrighty.
Is unfortunate.
Yes, their droll, dry sensibilities will definitely be missed, and they brought a certain, can you believe this shit, to the happenings of the coterie, that many of the coterie were not immediately aware as to being outside of the normal, because for them it's not outside of the normal. The wild, crazy happenstances of their lives, well, unlives as the case may be, is just another Wednesday for them. It's just another Thursday. It's just another night. The only difference is, what are they wearing while these crazy, chaotic, traumatic moments are happening? And even that sometimes blends together. So, while I am gearing up and soaking in all of this lovely hydration, I am honestly surprised, because normally the water enhancers that increase hydration make the water taste heavy, which is surprisingly good. It is definitely an acquired taste, but it's definitely surprisingly interesting. Let's go with that. Yeah, interesting. And yes, this is me playing for time, because while I was extraordinarily tardy, I have not heard Dia. Are they present?
Yes, I am here. Sorry. I got my nails done earlier and the lady was a little rough with my hands. so fumbly right now.
Well, better your hands than your feet. You know, it'd be awkward trying to walk on freshly pedicured toes and not quite having the balance or agility necessary. So as we are well within our hard start, and when we are both feet on the ground, everyone present and accounted for, are there any questions, suggestions, or hypotheses, or even any corners we need to round off to bring us up to speed?
I know you had me do a roll and I got a, I think it was a messy crit. So I don't know what that ended up leading to.
That was your political and etiquette role, your accoutrement for understanding what exactly was at play. And being as it was such a rousing success, I just put it out there for everyone to kind of soak it in, because literally what you've all done was win over a privy council, not a small privy council, not the inner sanctum of advisors to the throne or to the crown, as it were. No, you all won over, you crashed and stole the entirety of the limelight from the would-be prince, baron, president, king, and ruler of the entirety of the unified Thornton Township. You all would notice, you specifically, Dia, would notice that there are certain powerful kindred in the area who are not present, which again is very telling as to what this was. This was a kneeling before the Pope to be benighted as Lord and ruler of the land. This was a gathering and offering of power so that those few, Dia included, Erzuli included, Seferino included, and several others, would not have the power or strength to stand against the flood. It is the kindest betrayal that you could ever do politically, by amassing such a force that you would either have to kowtow and toe the line as established by others and work your way back into some semblance of status, or leave the area. Unless, of course, you wanted to purposely start open warfare. It would be you who would be the initiator at the end of this play, if you decide to stand against whatever the will of the people were. And in one fell swoop, through bombast and dynamism that was, well, your regular, your average day, but is wholly unexpected in immortal beings, you all have managed to cast doubt. You have managed to capture the hearts and minds of these immortal monsters. You have managed to sow that you may be a force to be reckoned with no matter what the outcome of the situation is. You have the last freestanding member, or if this was wholly a Camarilla city, the primogen of the entire Toreador of Thornton Township. You have the primogen of the Nosferatu of Thornton Township. You have the head gardener of the Bahari of not just Thornton Township, but the entirety of the Chicagoland area. And you all managed to politely crash the party and steal all of the attention, to have all of that energy and output directed your directions. You pulled a minor coup, which could have a long-lasting ramification. But what you do with that energy, what you do with that momentum, is very telling. Because like always, inaction is an action. If you choose not to use, if you choose not to do, then, well, you know, other things, stronger things have been wasted, of course. The momentum is yours. Whether you seize it or let it lie fallow. And it is the doing that counts, not the thoughts of doing so, not the intentions. So, any further questions?
No, I think that was pretty much.
All right, sounds like a plan. Well, Silence, as there are no further questions, is acceptance. We will dive feet first into the maelstrom of the scene. We will boldly go until this good night draws to a close. And as such, and as always, as immortally as I possibly can ever come close to, thank you all for your efforts, your time, and your energies. It goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. Play matters. Our times together in this fantastical world of these characters means so very much. It is a core pillar upon which much of everything else is affected by. It is a facet that I look forward to. It is my vacation, my mini time away from the world that we all inhabit. So thank you, and thank you. And without too much more further ado, or in this case further ado, I'd like to say that this is officially Season 7 of In the Shadow of the White City. Tonight's episode, weight, for the length, area. When we last left our coterie, Zach was atop the monstrosity, the beast, playing his ever-loving heart out, the vitae-tinged sweat flying in such a arc of destruction that it is hard to escape. He is effectively a Kendrick Gallagher 2 stories high. His guitar seeming caught on fire. If you excuse me for 1 second, I have to deal with some annoyance in my background. Sorry about that. Diving back in, Zach playing their heart out, while on the ground 2 stories below them is the congregation of the most powerful kindred in the Thornton Township area. It is a congregation bent towards, well, up until recently, bent towards the crowning of the one true ruler and leader of the Thornton Township. It was an acceptance of and an establishing of what would become, or will become, the status quo. And the host, having attempted to wait till the most opportune moment to reveal and unveil themselves, to make an appearance, was denied that appearance, was denied that moment, because the Pisketeers coterie and Urzuli did what they do. The impossible. They did what they do, created a scene. They did what they do and arrived and changed the scope and fabric of the world around them. So this is where we'll be picking up, and this is what we're diving fully, wholeheartedly into in the moment. Thoughts, suggestions? Where is everyone's mind? Where are the characters feeling? Because you have powers from as far west as Rockford, from as far south as the Peatone Beach area. You have folks from as far east as South Haven and Shorewood Forest and Cedar Lake and Grand Park, Bourbonnais. If you're not mistaken, there's even a presence from kindred as far west and north as Naperville. It is a congregation.
I think Gia would be trying to use this moment to, while everybody's kind of distracted, she is making notes of faces, plotting on who to go talk to next. She is going to use this to her advantage, make friends, see where everybody's head is, that kind of thing.
I was just about to ask, does Muzan recognize, are there any other Nosferatu in this gathering, and is there anyone he recognizes that might be Hekata? Like, from the ritual that he and the others accidentally saw.
Yes. Yes,
So
there are several faces that blur the line between good, upstanding members of the Camarilla and good, upstanding members of the Anarch Nation. And mixed through them all are several faces that, if they are not Hekata, clearly have a familial resemblance. These are entities and individuals that were present either as spies or full-fledged members of those several congregations, many wearing Nosferatu faces.
There.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Alright, Muzan is going to, before he heads off, he's going to whisper to Dia, I think it's about time we start reaping some of the rewards of this, don't you think? I'm gonna go mingle.
Actually, I was going to do the same. So, while I know you can protect yourself, please keep within our line in case we need to leave quickly, seeing as how we were escorted here. If you
Will do. Oh, are you taking your protege with you?
Which protege?
The one she made tonight, or was it last night?
It was last night, but here's the thing, and here's the pressing matter, and that little bird, that little voice, which protege, was partially due because Zach is 2 stories up in the air, guitar in hand, wailing against the very idea of the night sky. Frost, gently swept along with the current of movement, and no longer standing directly behind Dia in a muscled bodyguard position. And Stella and Faye are several feet further away, being lured into a conversation by some well-to-do, well-meaning, well-heeled member of the upper crust. Oh, I have not seen your face before. You look interesting. Who are you here with? Can be overheard as they're gently lured forward and further into a conversation with someone who has clearly been doing this for a minimum of twice their actual age, more like 5 to 7. Tall, handsome, well-spoken, and gentle in their approach.
I just realized Dia's a single mother. Seeing as how Stella and Faye are the most vulnerable in this situation, I'm gonna head that way. Zach kind of has themselves contained. They're up in the air. I know Arzuli's gonna kind of watch out for them a little bit. Again, Muzan can control can protect themselves. Frost, I trust just enough. But at the same time, it's like almost wanting to keep an eye on him. But Stella and Faye are definitely way more vulnerable and need help, more likely. So she'll head that way.
Sorry, my brain kind of went. What was the last thing?
In a congregation this large, this massive, this involved, this dead, scents are usually the least potent factor. Presence for the undead, their aura, their seeming, relatively rarely ever comes from them looking good and smelling good and putting you on the right scents. They no longer have the chemicals coursing through their bodies that cause all sorts of aromas to wave. They no longer have the biome necessary to breed all of those interesting personal affectations and bacteria that form those scents. So perfume smells like what it smells like. Cologne smells like what it smells like. It's not affected by their personal biology any longer. So it's usually not a thing. In the two major events where there have been this many powerful kindred present, it has never really been a factor for Frost. However, here, there's a heady, musky scent. There is a scent that causes his toes to curl, his frictive palate to work overtime, trying not to rub itself into that scent. It is everything he can to not bathe in that scent. It is pulling, drawing, chaining his attention. And it started subtly. Just a whiff of something there in the distance. But it grew stronger, almost as if there was a siren's call that only he could hear. As if somewhere not far, but not close enough to be immediately visible, was a mermaid sitting on a rock, singing him off the bow of his ship.
So he's like in a weird state, like
Yeah, what do you mean by weird?
well, usually he's on edge. Everything can be an enemy besides the select few he's chosen to protect. Well, protect, quote unquote. He doesn't feel like someone's got a gun to the back of his head right now.
That's always a standard for him. Paranoia is for some it's a fear. For others, it's a habit. For Frost, it's more of a hobby. It's what his mind does. It's how he keeps himself busy. It's how he keeps from expressing just how mad he actually is. Because there is nothing normal about hunting men, and he did so even before his death.
Can he make his way to Dia? And just like not be the bodyguard per se, but just be like, I don't feel like I belong here. Help.
Okay. So he sets his sight on Dia. He begins looking and he realizes that in that few small moments, with that pull, that allure of what's happening out there in the distance, out there in the night, that scent that dances over his tongue with every intention to lead him to whatever destruction he has earned in his unlife and throughout his life, he realizes that he's a few feet further from Dia than any good self-respecting bodyguard would allow. He realizes that he not only sees the back of Dia's head as they make their way into the crowd following Stella and Faye, but Muzan is also gone, and Dancer Dan and Dax. And while Zack is still there, 2 stories above, rocking like a god amongst men, he is relatively alone. For the first time in a very long time, he is truly left to his own devices, not because he's taken off and decided to flee from any of the impulses and actions happening around him, but because the others have taken it upon themselves to tend to other matters. It's the first time where he wasn't the one fleeing. He wasn't the one leaving. He was left.
He's always had Seth to look to, and no longer does he have that. He's a traitor. That dude was a traitor. Angry. Is there anybody else that looks out of place like him?
Several. This is a congregation of big fish from small ponds. This is a congregation of immortal dead things who more times than not have given in to their beasts. More times than not have willingly sacrificed for their greater good their semblance in humanity. Some do so because of want and because of avocation, but for the most part, for the very large most part, every kindred here has sacrificed what they thought was the greater good by doing the kindest evil they can. You can tell by the red lips on some. You can tell by the furtive, darting eyes of others, not willing to expose how truly depraved they are, not willing to look into that semblance of a mirror by really taking in how monstrous their peers are, how destroyed, immoral, and unethical are they. There's a lot of avoidance of thought. There's a lot of avoidance of consideration. There is a lot of self-illusions going on. And yet, about 15 feet past where Dia seems beheaded, there's a young lady, about 5'2", 5'3", one of the shorter statured kindred present. Her eyes almost completely black, not in that cloudy, smoky, wispy way that you've seen once or twice before. No, her eyes are nearly completely black because her actual pupil and iris are that large. There's a bestial intelligence there. It's not that the color of her eyes are black. It's that her eyes are that large inside of that all too human skull for you to see anything more than the irises themselves. And she's taking it all in. She's managing to inhale the air. Her ears twitch almost with a mind of their own. And even with her being of such short stature, other kindred are keeping their distance, and it's only as you unconsciously begin moving in that direction do you realize why. She honestly has a tail. There are furry tufts at the top ridge line of her ears, and her fingernails are black, slightly curved, almost as if it is the melding and half step between man and beast that, well, is currently taking place with your lower leg.
What, with the one with the weird limp?
What weird limp? There's no weird limp. You're perfectly formed. Although, what that perfection is anyone's guess. And but a first step towards what you will eventually be if the good doctor has his way with you. Remember, that was a down payment. That was a sample. That was a test run to make sure that it was viable.
He'd start walking over to this person that keeps staring at him then.
There is a cost to doing business. There is a weight and a rate of exchange that nothing and no one can escape, Zach. The cost of doing business, the cost of pouring all that you are out for public consumption has always been the emptying of what you are. All of those months and weeks and all of the time between gigs, the time between shows, the time between being out there in the spotlight is leached from you. It brings all of that turmoil, all of those highs, all of those lows, all of those moments between to a head, stirs them up into a frothy blend that comes bubbling up and out of you like a volcano. The downside, the cost of doing business is at the end of such shows, such moments, it's hard finding what Zach is. It's hard finding themselves. It's giving yourself over to that release, giving yourself over to that crowd, giving yourself over to those moments, pouring every facet of yourself out for public consumption. To continue with a metaphor's draining. It's like you were a blanket having soaked up all of the everything around you. You pulled it all in like a sponge. And when you get to perform, when you get the adoration of the crowd, you are being wrung out. They are surviving on the moisture of your life and unlife. They are drinking in every ounce of you as if it was ambrosia. Unfortunately, that leaves little there for you. That leaves little there to remain. And as you build to a crescendo and you have eyes and attention and you are making those connections that only can be made from center stage, you are making that circuit, the energy you pour out and how it's received by them, and having so many immortal monsters tossing their adulation and adoration into the ether is a drug. It's not as good as the kiss, but it's a damn close second. even as with each chord, with each chorus, with each stanza and phrase, there's less and less of you to throw into the ether. There's less and less of you to sacrifice to their pleasures. So, on such a happy note, where does that leave you? Zach? Oh. Okay. That leaves Zach to party. Gotta love technology.
Maybe they're just having technical difficulties and come back.
Yes. Speaking of coming back, as you close the distance on Faye and Stella, is there any course of action immediately in your mind? Do you have a plan, or merely just going to dive into the burgeoning conversation as the allure that they are under becomes more and more obvious as you close the distance between yourself and them?
I am gonna put up
That is curious and curious. So, putting up all, what is Dia's goal? Because there are several things currently in the works. Certain things are currently already in the offing.
It's off the girls and on to me.
All right, that being the case, would you be so kind as to roll your manipulation plus presence, and they will roll their composure plus presence. There is, without fail, always someone willing to fight. Always someone willing to resist. Oftentimes that resistance comes solely out of habit, solely out of the unwillingness to accept. So as you pull focus and attention from the tall, relatively handsome drink of water, in modern parlance, which you are loosely aware of, he'd be considered a silver fox. His platinum blonde hair is not from a bottle. is from life experiences. His well-shaped beard, matching his hair, is at odds with the almost midnight black eyebrows behind those absolutely crystalline blue eyes. And while you've never met him before, there's a certain rose-like manifestation in his dress. The clothing is tailored. The label, hard to discern because there's not one visible on him. He is no walking billboard that most of the others who aspire to a semblance of grace and air of wealth aspire. His clothing, tailored though they are a little understated. There's a shawl collared, almost velveteen blazer with matching embroidered tie, slacks cut to hang and drape and accentuate the underlying athleticism therein. The several rings on the pinky and middle finger of his left hand coordinating instead of clashing with the index ring and pinky ring on his right. The bracelets on his left acting as counterpoint to the weighted, wide-faced watch on his right. The scarf hanging over the blazer, matching the color of the socks and accentuating the color of the slacks. In short, he looks put together by someone who understands the very rituals and rules of classic fashion. Nothing extraordinarily dated, nothing overly modern, just understatedly adhering to the basic whims and wills of fashion. And as you, like a gem tossed into the noon sky, catch glints and brief rays of light bringing the attention in towards your direction, it is clear in that moment that you've managed to break a spell that has the newly awoken dead Stella and the now aware as to how dangerous the world they have inhabited, Faye, eyes towards you, and there's some troubling confusion sitting there behind Faye's eyes, and Stella pulling her closer into herself, wrapping her arm around their forearm. And it's clear that Stella, even in death, even with that beast whispering at the back of their mind and holding every facet of their attention, still has a protective intention towards her sister. It's a sad thought, but it's one that pops into the forefront of your mind. How long before that protective thought becomes possessive? How long before that protective thought becomes ownership?
Well, it seems my lovelies have made a new friend. And I offer, put my hand out in that weird, not quite handshake, but kiss my hand kind of way. Nice to meet you.
I don't believe that we've met, says the bittered individual, taking a step closer and towards Dio, and in turn bringing him a step closer to both Stella and Faye, offering his left hand. I am Cone Roll, coin to my friend. And you are?
Senator Concordia White. And this is my child Stella, and ghoul, Faye.
I see. Your child and their ghoul, or your ghoul and your child. Either way works for me. I'm very happy to meet you both. I've heard so much about you. Perhaps you might have a moment to discuss a few things in a few members of, and he looks around the crowd, of your cabinet, perhaps.
I'm sure that can be arranged. And as far as the things you've heard, I'm hoping they're all good. I know if they are from a certain party thrower, they might not be the best, but I'm sure I can make things work, as I would say.
I don't believe I've had the opportunity of truly being awash in all of the potential rumors and gossip that someone such as yourself might generate. Though I'm willing to hear your take on such a thing.
That's very much appreciated. And then while he's speaking to her, she's slowly, like you would around a rattlesnake or cobra, not catching his attention, kind of insinuating herself between Stella and the man, putting Stella slightly and Faye kind of slightly behind her.
Okay, well in that case, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your charisma and stealth to see if you are able to do so without catching anyone's attention. And he is paying attention to you because you did counteract his own fall with your own. A smile brightens as you find yourself forming a pyramid of sorts, a triangle, with you at the center point, or at the highest point, with Faye and Stella at your back. From your angle, you see Frost crossing the distance as if he is preparing to launch a war that will protect all of humanity. He will push the horde back into... As a military man, Frost, it is most difficult to shake certain habits. The target, the goal. Having spent so many years chasing monsters. Humans, of course, but monsters all the same. There's a difficulty in hiding purpose. Your purpose is to speak with her. There is no other more bestial seeming kindred present, and in your purposeful march there, as you get closer, you realize that no, you were off. Not 5 to maybe, if they're wearing 2 or 3 inch heels, 5 feet tall kindred. Their hair, you realize, is in fact fur. Long fur, but it is clearly fur. They have clearly spent far too long, or as whatever their predator they've taken on, or far too little time with their human seeming. And as you draw close, instead of it being the usual airs put on, swelling up with pride, sticking their chest out, maybe taking a step back or closing in on themselves, doing small, self-soothing touches, holding their hands or crossing their arms. No, it is clear that a battle is being waged inside of that mind, because the corner of the lip rises and the teeth are being shown, and you can tell that it is an effort to not, in fact, as you get close. Instead, just that quirking of the lips, just that meeting your eyes, and a clearing of draw space. If they were a shootist, if they were a gunfighter, it would be the same motions that you've seen so many times in the old West movies: the squaring of the shoulders, the loosening of the forearms, the fingertips flexing, getting ready to, the slight moving forward of one foot. But you, with your tactical training, you with your experience in hunting, you with your most recent experience embracing and reveling in all that is in fact bestial about yourself, you realize what it is. It is a clear-cut sign. Fuck around, and your friends will be finding out how many pieces can be made of you. It is a clear step wrong and you won't be stepping again. It is a clear, I may not be able to take you anywhere, but I can plant you right here. And she meets his gaze.
Do I know you?
That is a weird way to start a conversation. I think I'd remember. The gravelly stone on stone of her voice is distinctive. With Frost's time being short amongst the dead, it doesn't immediately instinctually trigger any bells to ring in his head. It doesn't immediately force his attention to come to certain revelations. It does spark the memory of a weekend at a concert where he yelled and danced and sung and raged until his voice sounded like rocks being polished in a tumbler. It was much the same in this particular situation. Someone who has spent so much of their time with vocal cords that are not human seeming, that the outcome is this.
Well, I guess it is a weird way to start a conversation. Not very social.
Sociability is just a lie.
So you understand a bit.
I understand quite a lot. And while everybody else is here jockeying for someone else to kiss their ass, I'm waiting for her to show up. When she shows up, I'm going to kick her ass. And then the Voivod of Thornton Township will replace her with me. And I will be the head bitch in charge.
But what if she doesn't show up?
She has to show up. There's too many licks floating around. He wouldn't have his muscle stand down. It's a show of power. You've got the queen of the free kindred of Gary at your beck and call, leashed to you. It's a flex.
So,
don't tell me I'm gonna have to kick your ass too.
probably not. Not tonight. But, well, other kindred or licks, as you say, going to think if you just start beating up on someone right in front of them?
The same thing you think if someone starts stepping on your toes. What the fuck? Not me. Let me get the way. Look around you. Look at all these soft, pink baby legs. I guarantee you, a demon from hell could appear right here in the center of all these monsters, and they turn tail and run before anything were to happen. They'd let their own mothers be killed to keep living another night, to keep stealing a bite of this one and a lick of that one, and, well, you get the idea. I bet you even would sacrifice about 90% of this crowd without raising a fucking finger, so long as the little pretty ones you walked in with walked away mostly safe. I guarantee you'd probably even let most of them die, which one of them you actually care about. And she looks around. She catches Cone talking with Dia, Faye and Stella over Dia's shoulder. She looks across the floor and she sees Zach on top of the beast playing his heart out. And then she looks towards Azuli, who is building a wall of kindred around her. Her presence, her vivaciousness, her just out and out, oh my god, that you can hear from that distance, pulling more and more kindred in, because there's a certain wanting to watch a train wreck happen, that their bright, brash demeanor lures people into a false sense of what they might be actually witnessing. Their behaviors are designed to disarm. Their brashness is designed to put everyone else on their back foot, to make them think one way while actually moving another. It's worked for them for the most part, and as long as it continues working, you are sure that it will always be the first card that they play, because it's working. There's several camps being formed amongst the kindred present, most still paying lip service and ear service to Zach, some outright clapping and some beginning to head bob to their set. But it's clear that those wily enough, those smart enough, those willing to play the game for the game's sake are using this moment to gather at least temporary allies, to see where everyone's temperature is, to co-opt kindred to their own banners. Because while they may not be the de facto head of anything, knowing where you stand is also very dependent upon knowing who you may stand upon.
And as that realization settles in, and Frost realizes that they have chosen a tact of most direct conflict, because at the end of the day, being dead is very much like what you've heard about being, well, in prison. You pick the biggest target, not because you're going to win, but by the fact that you are willing to fight for what is yours proves that you are not the victim in any situation. By willing to go down swinging, you prove that you are a stand-up individual. And this one has chosen the biggest one on the yard to initiate a situation where they will prove, one way or the other, that they are no one's victim, that they are worthy of respect, that they will go down swinging.
I would say there's about maybe 7 people here. If they got attacked, I'd go ape shit. But I'd let the rest burn in a fire. Hell, some of these people I do want to be burned in a fire.
Well, unless, of course, you're a coward.
And unless, of course, you really are like the rest of these
Soft waste of unlife.
Now's the time to make sure that that's fucking known. Now's the time to stand up for your principles on this stage with that pervert up there wailing and getting everybody's attention. Now is the time to make a definitive stand. And after all, what's the worst can happen? You already died once. But I don't know about you, but I'm not going to be anybody else's bitch at all.
Makes sense.
And as the words escape Frost, makes sense. And Zach moves into the next chord. The progression happening so smooth and so quickly that many didn't even realize the song had changed, that that particular song of the set was over. In fact, they're still well into that song that was technically 2 songs ago, because they've been blended together so well. They've been melded, the cross chord play, weaving a spell all its own. Just so that we're clear, with there's many of us out here wearing no makeup, making sure that we are seen for what we are. I don't know about you, but you know what happens when a rat is led into the wrong colony? They either take it over or, well, they destroy the colony. And, well, I'm no rat. I don't think you're a rat. We tend to operate in that same way. Either they need to be part of the colony and made to understand the place in it, or, well, you know, you being primogen of the Nosferatu as, well, I don't want to say this. I don't want to say this not succinctly, but puts us in jeopardy. I don't know who half these jamokes are.
What's the matter? You don't like the spotlight?
I fucking hate it.
So, in that case, why don't you leave the mingling to me? Because I see this as a golden opportunity to start establishing ourselves. Yeah, sure, I'm the primogen, but it doesn't really mean much if nobody knows it, right?
True, it don't mean anything, but it means everything. Because, considering that Amanda, for all of her bad habits, she really was a good enough leader until she let Whispers and Tommy die. And she let Whispers and Tommy die by letting them go up there to the big city by themselves, helping another member of the family. You ain't done nothing that stupid.
I ain't done much to begin with.
Well, I wasn't gonna say that, but what did the founding father say? The only real government worth having is an invisible one. We got rights. Maybe we should be able to unionize, or I don't know, get a decent day's vitae for a decent day's wage. I don't know. I don't give a shit about politics, really. It just sounded good.
Funny, the only two Nasas left in this city, and neither of us give too much of a shit about politics.
No, why study power when you can either have it or ignore it? The truth of the matter is, that's really what it boils down to. That's all politics is, to study your power and how to apply it. I ain't got no power. I know people. People don't know who I know. So they leave me alone for the most part. For the most part. You a boogeyman. You think people forgot? You were the guy people go to disappear, or have other people disappeared. So no one's gonna fuck with you. Dear, I love her to death, but let's be perfectly honest. Nicole gone. Jennifer gone. Jack, for all of their dirtiness, gone. All the subtle, quiet ones that had power and respected her, kinda gone. And while you have made sure that she has reached a level of success I'm not sure that most other toreadors would ever consider as an actual level of success, there's only so much you can keep doing. How long before you get overextended? How long before you put my life at risk? Oh my God, that's a lot of stakes at stake there.
Would you rather us just disappear into the night? Just become a bunch of fucking nobodies?
Well, if you're nobody, no one pays you any attention. This works for me so far, and nothing for nothing. But I don't know if you know this. But do you remember that Lodzimir? One of the barons of Riverdale. You know where he's at now, right?
Not a clue.
Exactly. No one knows where he's at. He's one of the ones that didn't show up to the meeting. He didn't get done in by your guy Calabalushi. But he's nowhere. How does that happen?
He could be dead.
And everywhere that counts, he is. He's a nobody. He's gone. He's disappeared. But you know what that means, right? It's still technically in Thornton Township, but it's over there in Riverdale. And there's nobody over there in that particular space. Which means go shore up the walls, build a retreat, build a fortress, and wait out the storm that's clearly coming, because this fucking jackass Vorvalo the South, ooh, big fucking name for a little fucking title. It means fucking bully, the bully of the South. It's gonna ride roughshod over everybody who actually don't do what he says. He's got too many humans that operate during the day. He's got too many ghouls that operate both during the day and the night. And he's got too many kindred, too many links that are strong enough that they could be a problem, who are kissing this motherfucker's boot. I say we run. I say we build a hidey hole, a bomb shelter, and wait it out. go ahead, find these guys lying out there in Homewood, unstake them all, send them out there into the night while we hide and let them do the damage they're gonna do. Spreading the word that the sewer rats, the Nosferatu, ain't to be fucked with, which gives you power.
Muzan is going to put a hand over his mouth as soon as he starts talking about that part. And he just says, the last time it was you who was telling me not to talk about this in a group of kindred.
I forget myself. I just, there's many people, there's many legs together, and most of them I don't know. Makes me fucking nervous. How was he able to reach out to all of them and no one know? This is a bad sign. It means that he's been super busy when no one's been paying attention. And I've been fucking paying attention.
Let me make you even more worried then. Not about that part, about what you were saying before. See, the thing about being an unknown entity, a non-person, as you seem to want to be, it only really works if you have the power to keep yourself independent. 'Cause if you don't, the moment someone decides to turn their gaze on your turf, they're not gonna see someone to ignore, they're gonna see easy pickings.
You know, the only thing was that whatever it was that that's what Ball was able to do. We getting all these people here. And when you start making fucking sense, when did you fucking become Donald fucking Clinton over here? This is just, oh my God.
Look, I hear you, I understand your concerns, but I think we need to make some connections here. We've got a golden opportunity in front of us. We ought to use it. And Muzan gets a little closer so that he hopes that only he and Dan can hear. That night when we were at that church, whatever the fuck it was, there was some shit that went down there, and I'm kind of interested in getting in on it. I think some of the Hecata from that might be here, and I know that they were interested in building bridges with us. I want your help doing that. Maybe they'll be able to lay some groundwork to help us get into Homewood.
Okay, sure thing. I'll yeah. I'll and he pauses and he plugs. Holy shit! I do recognize somebody.
Who?
And he points. Now, pointing is always rude. I'll just call it what it is. It is always rude. And in most situations, people choose to ignore people that point. Because, it's a sign of, well, they're clearly not as cultured as they should be. And blah, skippy rule. But as he points, you realize that people here, kindred here, pay no small amount of attention to where he points. And as he points, you follow the gazes, you follow the looks, and across the entranceway that you all drove through, walking past the still sitting there two clearly unmarked police cars or federal agent cars or whatever they were. They are of some official department with alphabets in his name. That much you are positively sure of. There's no such thing as a sure bet, but you put money on that 7 way to Sunday. The gentleman walking through is there in general. His average height, average weight, individual that's easily looked over save for that naturally blonde hair. And even being dead, the fact that his skin holds a semblance of a tan to it only adds to the murmuring recognition as to whom he is. The last time you all saw him present, it was with swarthy, dark intentions pointed towards Decibel. Decibel's last gathering, where it was unveiled who she was. In this instance, there's no seething rage. There's no seething unspoken anger. There's a determination in his stride that could be presaging the giving of the ultimate gift. It could be presaging the glad handing and burning bridges or burying the axe. But there is a purposeful stalking as he approaches.
Looks like things are about to get even more interesting.
Yeah, I'll go pester him and find out why he's here. Hopefully it won't, cost me my head. And Dancer moves off towards an interception. And speaking of an interception, the guitar in your hand sounds like the entirety of the chorus of heaven, singing its notes with vocal cords made of dream. It sounds as if the entire choral mass of heaven itself has granted you the gift of representing them. You've been chosen as their champion. And Zach, you have comported yourself as only a champion can. Even when it hurts, even when your fingers are bleeding, even when the vitae-tinged sweat flows freely enough that it looks as if you've taken a shower in someone else's vitae. You've cross-mixed chords, you harmonize with yourself and the guitar. You have put on a show that any musically inclined kindred and every musically inclined toreador present will be speaking about for at least the next year, maybe more. And as the gas tank nears empty, and you look out there in the crowd, and you realize that eyes and ears are still giving you the reverberation of the energy that you've poured out. What are you doing? How will you bring your set to a close? How will you escape the attention of your adoring public without leaving them dashed upon the rocks?
It is here where Zach slowly starts to deactivate entrancement, and as he ends his final song, as he reaches the end, he gently sets his guitar down and takes a bow. Ladies, gentlemen, and anyone who may identify as anything else, you have all been a very, very lovely audience. I hope you all enjoyed my little show. and that you all continue to have a wonderful night. If anybody else wishes to put on a show of their own, by all means, please do so. Don't let me hog all the spotlight. And it's here where he starts to step off, and once he gets out of what's basically a mansion on wheels, he steps into the crowd. And starts looking for his coterie in the crowd.
Excuse me. That being the case, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your charisma plus stealth?
Charisma plus stealth. Alrighty. Okay, 3 successes.
When fate conspires with you, and it's called kismet, it's called serendipity. It's often called luck. It is seldom unappreciated. In the moment, at least. Afterwards is usually, oh my God, things would have been so different if I hadn't just caught a flat tire that day. If I hadn't just... And is it how people make the connections of what moments in their life actually matter. Typically in hindsight, even though they should be looking forward, they twist and turn things to suit their emotional moments instead of their rational minds, and that changes what they see as rational, changes their viewpoints and their perspectives. Zach becomes a ghost. He becomes the antithesis of the maestro of ceremonies that he was while playing, while entertaining, while bombarding and accosting the ear holes and eyes of everyone gathered. In the distance, moving from the top of the vehicle down through and out, he shrinks back to his human size. He's no longer 35-foot tall, guitar playing Lord of Song. He's no longer the glistening, sinewy predator of everyone's fantasies. He is simply a shirtless lick whose hair has been matted to their skull, whose skin still carries rivulets of dried, vitae-tinged sweat. He is very much still just a overly sexualized Toreador. And so he's able to escape scrutiny. He's able to disappear into the crowd soon enough and easily enough that he catches Dancer Dan moving towards the blonde kindred crossing the distance. He's able to slink into the crowd, looking for other members of his coterie in enough time to catch the oohs and the ahs and the subtle changing of the temperature of the crowd as standing in the doorway to the castle that houses the Voivod of the South, you find the Voivod, the good doctor, the Voivod's adjutant, and her, surrounded by a phalanx of guards dressed in the livery of Decibel, banner, browns and golds. No heraldry that is easily noticeable, but Zach notices the not easily noticeable. Zach realizes that all of what they've witnessed in the livery of Decibel's guards has been pointing towards a over-the-top rumor, an over-the-top romanticized ideal. The Samich
are called dragons. And it's been years, but before leaving home, Zach actually did play those sorts of games. He understands the color theory of the dragons. He understands what Decibel has been telling everyone every moment that he's arrived. Every moment, with every instance of his team, his cadre of men and women and those martially bent showing up to anywhere and arriving on any scene. The livery of his people is the heraldry. And there is a color theory for certain dragons.
And what exact color of the dragon codes what, of course, varies from one realm to another. For some, very different colors reflect different levels of strength, and in others, different colors represent the element that's at their command. Seeing the brown and gold in some mythologies, those are associated with high levels of strength, and in others, those are associated with command over Earth. Put the two together, and it forms a high command of Earth. And that is the conclusion that Zach draws as he starts to look for Dia, Frost, Muzan, and anybody else he actually knows personally and not just knows the name of.
Just so I have this accurately, who is Zach looking for?
Well, specifically right now, he will start to look for Dia.
Dia is one of the easier members of the Code of Duty Spot. She is not quite centered amongst the group, but with Faye and Stella at her back like guards while she stands off against a very, very tall silver fox of a kindred. He looks as if he could easily be Toreador based on how classily he's dressed, but you can't judge a book by its cover. So crossing the distance, moving with the crowd as people are clearly taking bets. Small things between one lick to the next, from one kindred to the next, as they look towards the closing of Seferino, Ika to his friends, now that there are many of those left, arriving as if he is the very specter of, well, change, better known as death. You arrive at Dia's side as Cone has managed to introduce himself. As Dia and Cone stand facing off, the power of their aura enough that now that Zach is not stealing a good portion of attention, you see eyes being torn, as if there's a battle waging within those of less than stern mind, less than closed off senses, between where Dia and Cone are standing
and Arzuli, and then the other portion of the crowd looking from where Seferino's closing distance with no application of speed, no picking up pace, a dread march forward, and where the Voivode South, where Decibel and his retinue are standing, surrounded by guards in the doorway to the castle that, without a shadow of a doubt, definitely makes it seem as if this is a role reversal. Instead of the dragon storming the castle and pillaging the countryside, it is the errant Dark Knight seeking to lay siege to the dragon's castle. Yeah, as you're saying, they're talking with Cone. Zach arrives. Hello?
I'm here.
I'm here.
Present.
Did we lose you, storyteller?
Not at all. I'm just sending out a quick message. Didn't want to bore you all with the sound of a mechanical keyboard. So it seems as if we've lost DF for mechanical reasons, and while that's happening, we will slide right along. As things are happening, as they always do, several things happening at once. Frost, you're standing there with this particular brave and bold member of one clan or another, though you have your inclinations as to what they may be, what sort of lick may be sharing space and time with you. The crowd murmurs, and the beelining of Dancer draws your attention toward the encroaching Seferino. The taking off of Dancer on an intercept path causes you to look around the crowd, and you realize that standing in the doorway to the castle is Decibel and his retinue. And most pressingly, her, his enforcer, his right hand, the steel grip to his velvet glove, and the growl that comes from your partner of the moment is audible enough that those within 7 feet begin looking towards you all as she hunches, her muscles tensing, and it's clear what she's preparing to do. What is it that you do?
I sit back and just watch what this person's about to do. Or it could get brownie points with Decibel if I just shout, but is Decibel our ally? I don't remember him being one. So yeah, I'm going to just sit back and watch this happen.
So as she takes off in a beeline, shoving, throwing, tossing Kindred out of her way as she makes her way to her, Muzan, as you see Dan head off on an intercept path, a small, muscled, furry form of Kindred hunched over, nearly running on all fours, your trucks past you. What is it that you're doing?
Is it clear where they're heading?
Oh yeah, directly towards where Decibel and his retinue are standing in the doorway.
There's some part of him that wants in on this action, but there's some part of him that knows that's a bad idea. So, what he's gonna do is he's gonna head over to one of the faces he recognizes, possibly one of the Hekata, and just like kind of tap on their shoulder and say, I'd hate to interrupt whatever this is, but I think we're about to get some live action entertainment.
It very well does.
Basically using this as a kind of way to slip into their conversation and insert himself in their little circle.
It very well does seem as if we are getting more than a little live action. And to think, I thought that the only thing worth happening was happening in the Cream City right about now. Yes, the ritual was supposed to have gone off a few hours ago, but I haven't heard anything.
No, me neither. Do you think? Yes, I do believe. Where's View at this point? I believe that... Oh no, he's the dead one. No, it's hard to tell. No, they both were the same. Yes, live action. I have money on the female. But there's several females. Yes, but you ugly one. Which one do you think will win?
When this furry form was passing by, did Muzan get any indication of, like, how strong they are by any chance? Like, just, did they push Muzan aside, or?
Well, it depends. Are you going to go with the reputation of her, or are you going to go with the challenger? Someone who believes that they might be the, Buster Douglas to her Mike Tyson.
In that case, Muzan says, well, this enforcer, I've heard a lot of things about her, but deep down, I gotta say, I always like an underdog story, so I'm gonna put my money on her. Him, the furball, walking towards him.
Excellent. 1 drought. I'll see that 1 drought. I'll make it 2. 2? It's a little rich, but fine. 2 droughts. Are you taking some of this action?
Oh, absolutely.
The bet is 2 droughts. Is that too rich for your blood?
Not at all.
Excellent. Zach, as you stand there closing the distance between yourself, Dia, Cone, Rose, Stella, and Faye, a ember-haired, furry form of a almost animalistic kindred. You're not sure what animal they're supposed to be, but they have a tail. They have auburn furry hair, and they're running on almost all fours. It's more of a 3-point run. Somehow causing the ground around them to spray and fly up as if they're an actual thoroughbred running down the links. As they charge where Decibel and his retinue are standing in the doorway to the castle that is their home, or the symbol of his power. One or two of those things are true. And surrounded by guards,
As they're closing, you can hear their hoarse, ragged breath. And the rest becomes garbled, and pretty much what you get from is that they have a reason to try to kill either Decibel or one of his retinue, or both. Is there anything that you are attempting to do?
Once Zach gets close enough to Dia, Stella, and Faye to where they can hear him, he speaks up. I think the main event is about to begin. And this will be very interesting. He has a look on his face that basically tells anyone looking at him that if he had a bowl of popcorn, he'd be eating it right now.
So I take it that Dia heard the shouting and watched out of the corner where whatever was going on, and heard Zach behind them.
Yes.
Turning to look at Zach. It's kind of classless, actually, if you ask me. But that's a Decibel problem, not our problem. This lovely gentleman here would like to speak with us if you get a chance. And I'd much rather entertain that than whatever is about to happen there, though if there is some large fight, it might draw the wrong attention, if you get my meaning. Which we would not wish to be here for.
And Zach will respond with a nod. Oh, quite right. Quite right. Why don't we take ourselves somewhere more discreet? And he starts looking around for Frost and Muzan.
Good things come to those who wait is the common aphorism that most people aspire to. Believing that if they can withstand the pressures and the waves of the world around them, if they can hold on to what they have, they won't lose anything. That unfortunately is not the world in which the kindred live. That's not in fact the world in which we live. Holding on is not the same as keeping the course. Keeping the course means moving inexorably towards one's goal, to suffering the slings and arrows of the outrageous fortunes of the world around them. It means holding true to what that initial mission and vision statement was. It means not giving up ground because you are busy gaining ground. You are busy taking those steps, making those leaps, willing to throw yourself into the action of the world around you to keep moving forward. Keeping the course, not holding on. It's considerably more difficult because we get distracted. Things pop up here, things pop up there, something over there that's a little shinier than it should be. And oftentimes it will have certain individuals jumping over dimes to pick simply because that next dime looks a little shinier. We'll have people stooping to pick up fool's gold to throw away with all the real gold that they've thrown away. Several things happen at once, as is always the case when the hand of fate plays a game of 3-card Monty with everyone's attention.
as the furry form of the gangrel woman charges the waiting arms of Decibel's guards, screaming obscenities that sound much the same as all of the compliments spoken in that guttural dialect that dogs use when appraising a situation, with a small bit of chittering that chipmunks and squirrels have when communicating over distances, claiming which tree and which branch are theirs. The noises that escape the furred form is, well, at best, animalistic. At worst, pseudo-demonic because of their pitched bass as well. But the crash of them against Decibel's guards is of such a heady, violent level that it sounds like a raindrop crashing against a paper plate. It's over before it begins. They, in seeking to make a statement, did not carefully construct a statement that meant anything more than pain for something or someone, and towards that end they reached their goals, though the respect hoping to be garnered by willing to do was outshone and outclassed by the lack of a tactical battle plan to get them past the guards. What did they expect? That Decibel security would just form a queue and a gauntlet allowing them to charge right up to the undisputed ruler, leader of Thornton Township, and the person who cashes their checks. To add injury to insult, they didn't use any lethal weaponry. There were no guns discharged. They didn't stake them as they assured their other witnesses. It was a careful, considerable, constant meeting out of blunt force trauma, illustrating the value of numbers pulling towards a particular goal. Their beating continues to the point where you have a few of the gathered, more sensitive sorts flinching as the blows rain down, one after the other, after the other, after the other. And even once the body has stopped moving and the fingers are still twitching from the pain, and the body and limbs are just jerking and responding to the downward strikes of his men, Decibel looks on them, his eyes hooded, waiting for no one's quite sure what, but it is clear they're waiting for something before so much as offering a suggestion. It's almost a bored look, watching a kindred be beaten into torpor. It's almost a bored affectation of realizing that there's very little they could have done besides potentially die sooner. And watching the sheer violence be unleashed, and watching a kindred literally be beaten into torpor is not something that anyone will easily forget. As being immortal things, being kindred, is often taken for granted that you have the rest of forever. It is taken for granted that nothing outside of the sun can truly end your existence. And there's the fact that right there in front of you, with so many eyes, so many powerful kindred, that what you think and what is known can often be separate individual things. And just like a little candle being blown out in a stiff wind, the Baron of Plainfield is beaten to death. All of those 42 years of existence as a kindred snuffed out in a hail of batons.
Boo! Bad fight! Muzan shouts. God damn it, they didn't even give him a fair chance. Alright, I guess that's the, what was it, 2 droughts?
Yes, 2 droughts. And it is clear that something else is working beneath the surface. It is clear that thoughts and ideas and ideals are being negotiated behind those hooded brows. And as you enunciate some of what's being felt throughout the crowd, Decibel chooses that moment to step forward. Friends, kindred, I'm glad that the night's entertainment has been to your liking, that it has moved you in the way that it has. But we were here to conduct some small measure of business. And I say that we conclude our business so that you all may find entertainment more to your liking. As he speaks, his retinue moves forward. The doctor and the adjutant taking up the left flank, while she moves slightly forward and on his right, while the guards around them take a half a step further away from the center of them all. There is a common understanding of what being a Samich is. There is a common understanding that the love and need to be transhumanistic is all that they are. That they are, in fact, pizza cutters, all edge and no point. It is seldom understood that just as no peoples are a monolith, that neither are the Samich. And while others have discounted just how transhumanistic the Volvat of the South is, he rose his shoulders as she does the same, looking over the crowd towards the incoming Seferino. His adjutant smirking beneath that big, bounteous, bushy beard, and the doctor slides the goggles from his forehead down across his eyes and uncrosses his 2 sets of arms. It is clear that while the suggestion was made for business to continue, that neither of them have discounted the approaching Seferino, that neither of them have considered the opening gambit of the charging Baron of Plainfield nothing or anything more than an aperitif for the main course. A thing to keep in mind is that inaction is an action. The world keeps moving. We must not only hold on to what is valued by us, but gain more. Because as time moves forward, the only definitive way to show how little immortality matters is by not accumulating, owning, and having something new, something more each day. And right now, well, all you've got is each other.
Tia is gonna kind of look towards Movie to see where Uzuli kicked off to, and what their take on this whole situation is. Meanwhile, trying to see how many steps they have to the rest of her party to kind of gather them up, because worn out welcomes is the feeling.
As that's going on, Muzan turns his attention back to the little group that he's been betting with. Alright, so don't know if this gig is ending soon, but I'm assuming you guys know where to find me, but if not, come look me up at the Pisketeers. I'd love to get in touch with you guys. You guys have been such a wonderful here. And that drought, I think I've got an idea of a nice vintage that I can share with you guys if you're willing. Something truly special. Trust me, you're gonna love it. But yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent. Oh, you guys got business cards or something?
No, not at all. However, if you should need something, perhaps you should reach out to the DM towing service. Oh, yes, that is such a good idea. After all, his property did revert to those of the family once his passing. Yes. Excellent. Good call. In fact, we should probably get them to begin negotiating and restructuring things. I'm sure that he hasn't done quite all over the place after all. It's been several months since he's... Yes, you know what? We should do that now. It has been a pleasure seeing you, Lord Primogen of the Nosferatu of Thornton Township. We look forward to what you and Senator may be able to do if you all survive this evening. Good luck, and we will collect as soon as possible.
Excellent. I'm looking to helping you with this whole machine business, as it were.
That brings them up short. They realize that you perhaps know more than you have any right to, but as you know, it's clearly someone shared the information with you. And yes, well, another issue that they'll deal with in due time. Speaking of in due time, Urzuli is all smiles. Urzuli is all welcome comfort and domain being granted, and noblesse oblige, and waving and getting other people's attention, and all of that is actually happening. They are still moving towards the beast. You notice that as they move, the heretofore kept by their side and just out of sight phone, i.e. remote they've been using, comes into play as their thumb is frantically swiping and tapping at the screen. The lights coming on. The second door stairway step is extending. And it is clear that they have every intention of, if not leaving, at least being on the beast more directly.
Okay, noticing that, where was Seferino in the crowd, by the way?
He wasn't in the crowd yet. He was making his approach. He was approaching from the path out. He's near on everything.
Alright, so in that case, I'm going to lean down towards Stella and Faye behind me. Ladies, it's getting quite late, and dangerous, mind you. Why don't you head back to the Beast for me, and I will be along shortly.
And just to say, you ain't gotta tell me twice. They begin moving in that direction, leaving you and Cone standing amongst yourselves. As the situation has grown hairy, as the moments have ticked by until there is little room, little time for anything else to take place without a huge consideration and investment of time, energies, and a lot of dice rolling. You know the saying. You wait for your moment. You hurry, 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 and wait. And the moment slips past you. The tenable opportunity for escape before the agents and witch hunters watching the premises has slipped by. The moment of escape before the battle is joined with the hidden forces that Seferino has amongst the crowd has escaped. The opportunity for more than reactive actions has escaped. As such, with so many pressing die rolls hanging over our coteries' head, with so much in the offing happening as everything else is happening at the speed of lightning, I'd like to thank you all for a lovely episode, and I will see you guys next time. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Night.